Today we're going to recap the Boone County School Board meeting that happened on the 13th of July. So we've got Jill, Stacy, and Karen Strayer. Okay, audience of citizens. Our lovely Karen Strayer spoke. Karen, do you want to give us a little quick summary of what you spoke about?
Basically, I had two topics. Number one was to note all the money that's being spent towards our superintendents, memberships, in various groups unrelated to education in my mind. And then I also reacted to where one of the board members appeared to verbally lecture one of our parents who had responded to the RFID survey.
Yeah, they supposedly asked for our input and then he grilled a parent for actually giving input. Interesting. I want to bring this up because you can be on the lookout at the next school board meeting for a tax increase. Every year, they raise your taxes as much as they possibly can, which includes your car tags that you're paying for every year, your property taxes, occupational license, and there's taxes on your utilities. And it encompasses raising all of those. So keep in mind, they've had record unenrollment. So there's more students not attending their schools, which takes money from their pockets if they don't have a child in a seat. So last year, even your Representative Parks, who claims to be physically conservative, raised your taxes. He voted to raise your taxes. We have to prevent them from doing it again because there's no reason to keep adding a burden to our bills to pay for their stupidity and how they spend our money. They're not being good stewards of our children or our money. So in this report, which you can find on the meeting agenda, you can see what excess they're bringing in of just tax dollars. And it looks like as of year to date, they've gotten 5 million more already. And you can look at the reports. They have more than just property taxes listed, but it gives you an outline for each year and how much more they're bringing in on every category.
I would suggest contacting your legislator and having them change the laws on this where they can automatically raise and start putting the school levies back on the ballot.
I'm okay if they do the levies if we have secure elections. I don't want levies if they don't have secure elections.
Good point. I mentioned this is one of the memberships that I mentioned in my speech. And I took note that Jesse Parks was agreeing with a lot of the membership information I was saying. I got a lot of head nods from him. But yet they still voted yes.
Right.
So on the membership, you wanted to point out Matthew Turner's salary at $220,522. But also these memberships that we're paying for as taxpayers, you want to go in and look at the social media accounts and go to their websites to see their reports and partnerships, to see what they're pushing or indoctrinating your superintendent on. This one report is from Battelle for Kids. Again, you can see the partnerships there. And then one of the social media posts, they gave an award to a superintendent for reworking curriculum to invest in youth empowerment, racial justice, and collective healing. These are social, political ideologies that the superintendent's reworking curriculum to put in, which is alarming, but also we're now participating in this and paying for our superintendent to be part of.
From what I understand, all these memberships, the car, the annual income, the telephone, is all in the contract for the superintendent. So considering that contract expires next June, I think that needs to all be reworked. So we need parents to contact the board and have these benefits removed from his contract or the superintendent contract.
Yeah, we shouldn't be paying for these things. If he wants to make his resume include all these things, he can pay for them. He makes plenty of money. Well, like you said, it's building a resume and having him rub elbows to be ready for whatever next position he's going to take. This is about him moving up. It's not about benefiting our children. And it was the same thing with Randy Poe. We did it with Randy Poe. So now he's the executive director of the Northern Kentucky Education Council. He was able to rub elbows with enough lobbyists to now sit on the state school board. It's about them, not about our kids. And we should only be funding things that benefit our children, because that's what this is about.
Data room relocation. Unfortunately, they were not on the mic when they were speaking about this. So if you go back and listen to the video, good luck. It's really hard to hear, and it's very disrespectful for the people that are watching from home.
I had another builder who has built homes in the same locations as Ashley, and he said everything they do is double what we do. So I don't know if I believe the bidding sheets. I just have questions about this whole thing, and I was surprised that the school board didn't have questions about it, since it's such a large amount of money and there's not a lot of information on what they're doing, why the leak in the current room couldn't be fixed for less than 2.4 million. But if you guys think that $2.4 million for adding one room to their central office is a lot, maybe you guys can start digging into why that is, and if these numbers add up, and if everything makes sense. It's all about getting the research done, because information isn't willfully given to the public.
Then Leader and Me, Long Branch Elementary, they're requesting $81,000. They're just a year membership is $5,000 a year. And they mentioned that families are having to raise money for this program, and which is another indoctrination program. It's a Stephen Covey program out of Utah. So I guess
social program. It's not even academic. It's social.
Right. Exactly. And do you think it's ironic that they were a blue ribbon school, quote unquote?
Well, yes, give us money, we'll give you an award.
I think that's a lot of money for something that's not curriculum related.
Well, not only that, but how are you going to say that you're going to do a 5-year program? You should be reassessing it every year. Like, is it a need? Do we need to do this every year? Can we create our own? Can we do this on our own? Like, there's just, like, you just signed up for 5 years for something that you don't know if it's going to be effective or if they're going to change things, because a lot of the contracts, I'm pretty sure we have a Leader in Me contract, states they can change the program at any time. Well, you just signed up for 5 years. What if you don't like the program in 2 years?
And if you've ever been to Long Branch and you've looked at their playground, it's pathetic. So we can't take that money and put it towards a nice playground for these kids to play on. We're going to pay for a social program. I don't know. I just think our SBDM needs a reboot. So Double O was a membership for Kentucky Education Council, Northern Kentucky. And it was for $10K for 23 and 24. This is the one that Jesse said no to, because he said that's basically a lobbyist group and they mishandle funds. So he voted no. So when he voted no for just this particular membership. But he had to vote no for A through TT because they clumped it all together when they voted.
Well, maybe we should remind people that everything will pass because it's a majority vote. So Jesse voting no on something alone makes no difference. It'll still pass. Jesse and another school board member voting no, it still passes. So we always, if you want something to not pass, we have to get 3 school board members on board with it to vote no to actually make sure it does not pass. 3 of them. We do not have 3 school board members on the side of the people. Not 3. So with the elections coming up, I believe next June is when you have to sign in, is the deadline to sign in to run for a school board. We do have 3 seats coming up. So if you want to represent the people and the tax dollars, we invite you to explore the position because we need 3 people up there that are going to be the voice of the people to vote no on things to get us back on track.
And school board is the only elected office that Moms for Liberty can endorse.
So since we already talked about the excess tax dollars earlier in the presentation, there's probably going to be another tax increase.
So we need to keep our eye out for the August meeting minutes to see if they're going, that's usually when they put it on. They put it on in the summer when no one's paying attention or you're away on your vacations enjoying life. So on the Thursday that they're having the actual school board meeting, you want to go back to the Friday before, and that's when they post the meeting minutes. And you want to go through the agenda after you click on the date and see if there's anything in there for a tax increase, because we have less than a week to get it together with citizens to cry out, no, stop taking more money from us to fund your political agenda in our schools, because that's basically what it's boiling down to. All these social programs have little to do with actually helping our children and more to do with indoctrinating them into political activists. So we need to be on the lookout. August 4th, everyone needs to look up Boone County Schools, Kentucky school board meeting minutes, click on the KSBA's portal, and then you click on the date on the meeting agenda and scroll through it and see if you see anything about the taxes. Yeah, I find it the fastest by putting in Boone County, Kentucky school board meeting minutes, and it'll pull up KSB's portal, and then I just click on the date.
Yeah.
Something that I do want to point out from Portrait of a Graduate, Battelle for Kids, Ed Leader 21, they hold hands, right? These are all part of the same conglomerate. And our superintendent is going to another conference. They voted to send him to another conference for this, funded by Zuckerberg and Gates Foundation. When I was on their website, portraitofagraduate.org, and I went to their reports, not only are they profiling our students in a dashboard, they're profiling the teachers now. It literally says profile of a graduate again, and it shows all where they get the data and how they're plugging it into their dashboards. And if you look at the dashboards on Panorama, all of it that they are looking at is around the social aspect of education, not the academics. But they are also profiling our teachers. There was profile of a teacher. So I think teachers need to start asking questions about what data is being taken from them, because I was told by a teacher that they are now downloading all these apps, tracking apps for everything onto their personal devices, even their personal phone, which is a huge mistake, because if there's any open records request or if the district wants to see something, they get access to your personal device. So you should not be downloading anything on your personal device for work.
This again, they were off the mic, couldn't really hear a whole lot. So I encourage people to go out and research what this new code of conduct document says. it very high level from the past, and it basically says if you break a Chromebook, you pay for it kind of thing. It's very vague, but we all know that parents should not sign the code of conduct. You get your kids off of the Chromebook and you get them off the dashboards. Wolf said that it was reviewed extensively and she felt confident in the document. Again, I encourage parents to look at it, review it. Even if you have an attorney, have your attorney look at it.
Many times parents get the code of conduct and it's so involved that they just sign it and send it back. The days of that are over. You need to review anything that you're signing. And I know it's long, we're busy, but we really need to protect ourselves and most importantly, protect our children.
So they also talked about how 7:30 is kind of late, which it is, especially when the school board meetings go 3 hours long. So they've changed it to 7 o'clock as of the August 10th meeting this year.
7 o'clock to me is still late, like you said, considering they go 3 to 4 hours. But at least it is giving more opportunity to get your family dinner meal over with. And at least one of the parents showing up at the meetings.
And that's another thing. I get so aggravated with SBDM meetings being at 3:30 and 4:30, depending on where your kid goes to school. And that's tough for people that are actually working. Not all parents are stay-at-home parents that can do SBDM. So I think that that's another miss.
Good point.
Parents need to start partnering up and forming groups at each and every school and working with each other, whether they need some carpooling or help to get kids to sporting events or pick them up from school, and have one parent volunteer to go to your SBDM meetings. You should be paying attention to what's happening there as well. We worked with other parents to make sure someone was always attending the SBDM meetings and then recapping it back to our group. So what I was reading is things that KDE wants to assure the schools are going through. I saw where they actually are requiring a training on FERPA, but they're not requiring a training on PII, COPA, PPRA, which are probably more important and valuable than the FERPA. I don't know if they left it out on purpose, but those laws are the ones that they're breaking more so than FERPA.
Right. We can't even keep teachers in the schools or keep bus drivers. So now we're going to create new positions. Good job. My kids will eat anything, but they will not eat the school lunches.
Well, there's sugars and food dyes, and they say they go by certain guidelines, but we've spoken with some practitioners that have volunteered in the lunchroom, and they're horrified by what they're seeing served to our children. Food dyes are known to cause ADHD and different mental problems, and they're giving them blue applesauce.
Right. Why do you
why do you have to color the applesauce?
Right. Exactly.
So some of the food is just heavily processed. So it's not healthy. It's not like they're getting healthy meals. And I know that Jesse keeps saying that shouldn't be an issue ever, because it really shouldn't. The schools get plenty of funding and money. I don't know. But it's not even nutritious food that we're paying for. So that's ridiculous as well.
Yeah. Wolf, she brought up the multiplex athletic building for swimming, archery, etc. And I know that Jesse has brought this up too, because obviously his daughter does archery, and obviously Wolf's daughter swims. I guess both of them swim. And they said that I guess one of the schools, their swimming pool was down, so they had to drive over to Ohio to practice. So they want to build a multiplex athletic building. I'm thinking let's get our shit together as a district first. Then we look into that.
Maybe they'd have money for that stuff if they weren't blowing it on digital curriculum. We got to work together, ladies and gentlemen, parents.
The days of sitting on the couch and hoping someone else will take care of it is over. We need to unite.
These kids don't have a voice. We have to be their voice.